Welcome back. Now, the 11th annual SA Tomorrow conference wrapped up in New York City today. Investors, policymakers and business leaders gathered to showcase South Africa's investment opportunities and the future of the economy to the U.S. investor community. Standard Bank Group's Deputy Group CEO and CEO for Standard Bank South Africa, Fihla, joins us from New York with more detail. Of course, I do understand it's probably late morning or early afternoon, so not quite the end of the conference yet. But just looking at the timing of this conference, Kenya, because it is a week away from very, very important U.S. elections. And of course, there's uncertainty in terms of, who's going to be at the helm, also uncertainty on any policy changes. How is the mood at the conference at this time?
Well, the mood is extremely positive. The investors whom we're engaging with have acknowledged the tremendous progress that South Africa has made. The first being just the transition post our elections, how we moved from into a government of national unity without any major problems whatsoever. That is being regarded as a massive positive for South Africa. The progress that has been made with regard to electricity supply, stabilization of Eskom, the improvement that are starting to come through with regard to Transnet, and some of the regulatory reforms that are ongoing. So clearly investors are watching, looking at all of these issues and seeing them as positive development with regard to South Africa and their attitude towards starting to look at South Africa as an investment destination.
Positive overall, but there have been some few issues because already the US and SA have relations. For example, when you look at the AGOA agreement, and there had been a few shaky moments in terms of that before, where a delegation from South Africa has had to go to the US to try and convince the US as to why it should extend AGOA. Is there any nervousness on any of the issues, including that at this point?
I think this issue of AGOA is a government-to-government discussion, an issue that has been raised by some people in the Congress, and the South African government is dealing and managing those issues. On our part, we engage with private investors who look at issues purely based on the commerciality of the deal. Either they think the environment is conducive to investment, the entity or the companies that they're looking at are profitable or well run, and consequently, therefore, their stance and the optics that they adopt would be different to optics that will be adopted by politicians within Congress. So no, the issue of AGOA and some of the noise that we've seen in the media in relation to that in the past has not been raised at all. It doesn't mean it's not a factor. I'm sure when it comes to investment decision, people will take into account other factors. But in terms of direct inquiry and engagement, it is the fundamentals that investors are looking at. Is the country a conducive environment to invest in? Are some of the obstacles being attended to? Are there good assets that offer good, decent returns? Are they well run? Are they sustainable? It has been those kind of discussions. And that's exactly where we can play a role. And those are the discussions that we can influence, given that we're a financial institution.
Yeah, talking about the role of government, because for businesses to fully thrive in this economy and for investors to feel safe and comfortable and positive about their investments, there does need to be policy certainty when it comes to the operating environment. Has that been a priority at this conference?
Yes, absolutely. I think if you think about the structural issues that investors will raise as an obstacle for investing in any market, not just South Africa, those are hugely dependent on government action and the consistency of opening up the market and making it attractive to investors. South Africa, I think, has done a lot of good things, and some of the positives are starting to show. But investors, by definition, are skeptical. They invest for the long haul. They want to make sure that the changes that they are seeing are changes that will be sustained over a long period of time. So we still need to show more runs on the scoreboard and demonstrate that these things are sustainable, there's commitment, we've got the ability to implement, and I have no doubt in my mind that if the country is able to sustain this over a long period of time, that we will see an increase in capital inflows into South Africa. As we've already started to see domestic capital deploying, so will foreign capital come into South Africa.
And Kenny, that's the thing, because we have actually seen positivity filtering through even to the financial markets and the outlooks from companies, saying that there is positive sentiment that is evident in the environment, but that has yet to filter through to the real economy. So, of course, just looking at the diversified delegation, SA delegation that is there from government, private sector, different decision makers in different portfolios and sectors, what then has been the unified message coming from those players, considering the fact that that sentiment has yet to filter through to the real economy?
I think we all are united by the sort of fact that South Africa is open for business, that the country is doing all it can to deal with some of its own challenges, and that there have been tremendous achievements that are real, concrete, and sustainable. If one looks at just the issue of load shedding, there is no doubt that a lot of good work has been done, and it is amazing what has been achieved. We have not had load shedding since April this year, and the level of confidence and the articulation from the Minister of Energy and Electricity, from the leadership of Eskom, point to a direction of sustained power availability. That also presents opportunities, because the focus now can be on extending the transmission lines, on increasing the capacity so that business and the economy can grow and have adequate energy supply. So investors are looking for those sorts of things, and they love the progress that they're seeing. And that's the message that we are articulating. We're also saying South Africa offers a very, very useful base to expand into the African continent, given the stability of our judicial system, well-diversified economy, strong institutions, functional infrastructure. Despite the challenges that we have, the challenges that I've spoken about, it is still by far the best place to be positioned in order to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented by the continent. And we have to continue to talk to investors, to reassure them, to give them evidence. And if South African business is not confident in its own country, we can't expect foreign investors to act otherwise. They'll just take the cue from what local businesses say and do. And therefore, we have to be united in demonstrating confidence and affirming the positives that have come true.
Well, all the best for the rest of the day, Mr. Fihla. Thank you very much for giving us insight into that investment drive in the U.S. That was Kenny Fihla, Deputy Group Chief Executive Officer for Standard Bank Group and Chief Executive Officer at Standard Bank South Africa.